Hello and welcome to the West Yorkshire Football Show. Come on.
You're so giddy that you didn't even
buddy.
realise. You didn't even realise that you put the Leeds versus Hull match reaction.
Are you joking? Oh my God. Yeah, don't worry, guys. It definitely wasn't the Hull game
funny.
over again. Oh my goodness me. My apologies. No, it's definitely the Leeds United 3, Watford 0 match reaction. I'm Stephen Brown, with me as ever, Jason Booker. Jason.
Bliss.
Just how good was that, especially the second half?
I mean, it's hard to find the words, I think. Like I said, I messaged you just before coming on saying, all we've really got to debate is who was the man of the match. And I think we probably couldn't be at that for a bit of time because there were a fair few candidates. But, mate, we were sensational. I mean, if we'd have scored a couple, 2 or 3 first half, it wouldn't have been against the run of play. It wouldn't have been unfair. Bachmann kept him in the game. A couple of fantastic saves, one from Ampadu, did well from the Rutter chance. There were a Somerville chance. I mean, we battered them. We absolutely dominated the game. They didn't have a shot on target until the 95th minute, which I think came probably from us being a little bit careless. And they're not a bad side. They're not a bad side, by championship standards, and we made them look so ordinary. And not only that, we were having fun. Like some of the boys out there, and we'll go into the individuals, but my word, Jesus, where do you want to start? It was just a fantastic performance. From the word go in terms of the side and what came out, Shackleton starting at right back over Ayling, I thought were a fantastic shout. It'd have been easy for him to keep Ayling in there, but bringing Cooper back in, I thought already gave us a little bit less in terms of legs. So it was absolutely the right call from a personnel point of view to bring Shackleton in there. And I thought he equipped himself brilliantly. Not once did I think when Shackleton were faced up down there, shit, like we're in trouble here, like he's going to get beyond him. And not to dig Ayling out, we were on 5 minutes and the one chance that they did have came against Ayling.
100%. 100%. Can you hear me? Oh, you good?
Brownie's just too excited tonight. He's just wrecking the place.
I'll try and fix myself. Any good now?
It's like I've gone deaf. I can't hear you. Let
me have a look, guys. If you're in the chat, let me know. Am I still coming through here or what?
Stop talking.
Oh yeah, yeah. Can you hear me? I think my mic's on. I think it might be orange. Yes. We're gonna need a little help in the chat here. Let's have a look. Guys, can you still hear me? Let me know in the chat.
I can't hear you, Brownie.
Yeah, you can hear me. I think it's your end, Jace. Have you muted something on there? Uh-oh, Jason can't hear anything. Jason, I think it's you, Jason. Right, let me.
Who's Brownie talking to? Is it just me that can't hear him?
I think it's just you, Jason. We've broken the internet.
Is it me that can't hear you?
Yeah.
Oh, dude, that's so embarrassing. Right, I can't hear you. Right, hold on a minute. You caught me. You caught me mid-floor then. I was on one. Hold on.
We've been very excited. This is what a 3-0 win does to the fan base, to be honest. Nope. Let's see if he's still not getting anything through.
Keep talking, Brownie.
Yeah, but what we're going to do is let's start at the beginning anyway. The team sheet today, as Jason was talking about then. Couple of big moves there, really, from Farker coming in. So you had Shackleton.
So I can't hear things through
right back. Right. Ayling dropped, which was huge, to be honest. Ayling being dropped was a big move. He's played every game so far this season, but I do agree with Jason. I think it was the right move. I think for me, Ayling's looked a little bit shaky this season, to be completely honest. So I was happy to see that. I felt better about the game when I saw Shackleton was in and Ayling was dropped. I know that might be harsh to some people, but I that's how I felt. It's great to see Byron back in. And like Jason, you said then, the biggest chance Watford had came because Ayling just got beat easily again. And for me, that was a huge shout from Farker, really, because you're looking at your experienced heads. We haven't got many in this team. Ayling certainly is that. But for me, I would be more than happy for that to be it for Ayling at right back now. I don't think it will, because we don't know Firpo's fitness, Byram's fitness going forward, especially those 3-game weeks. You can't imagine that, Ailey's not going to get a look in. But for me, I would be more than happy for, to say that's it with Ailey now and to be, the second or third choice. I really would. For me, I mean, I don't know if I'm as glowing as you were about Shackleton. For me, there were a couple of moments where it still turned back Shaq. And I'd like to see him be a bit braver sometimes in trying to getting us pushed up. But I completely agree. His recovery pace, in terms of, it just felt more secure. It just felt like we weren't going to get beat on that side time and time again. Then you had Cooper come in, obviously Rodon out, suspended. Cooper came in. For me, I would have liked to have seen Charlie Cresswell in. But I think you made a point over text, Jason, about he wants some experience and leadership, spot there, which is, I think, is a fair point. I would have liked to have seen Charlie start, though, because I do wonder where his opportunities are going to come from if the right-sided centre-back misses a game and he is a right-sided centre-back and then he still doesn't get a chance. I don't know what we learn from Cooper nowadays, whereas I think, for me, that might have been a good game for Charlie to get some experience, especially considering how dominant we were. I don't know. What do you think on that?
So first off, apologies for whatever just happened, because that was really weird. Like I just couldn't hear you, and I was like,
"You're blaming me."
I know. I'm really sorry. I'm so embarrassing. But yeah, you just went totally off. Anyway, Ayling, 100% agree with you. I think he's now third or fourth choice, and I think he is third or fourth choice as well, because I think Shackleton came in today because of form, not because of legs. Ayling's never been dropped because of his fitness. So I think Shackleton was in on merit today. And yeah, sure, Shackleton's got limitations. He's not particularly quick at dribbling with the ball, which then leaves him sometimes not being able to beat that man, like you say. But at least when he does it, it seems to actually come with conviction.
Yeah.
And his dynamism in terms of defending and aggressiveness, like it feels like he's going to win more challenges and not. Where with Ayling, you just never know where you're going to end up. But I don't even want to talk about negative today, really, because it was just so good. I thought Cooper and Stroik equipped themselves fine. I thought Stroik was really, really good. And apart from that one moment where Cooper were unsure whether to let it go back to Meslier or not, I thought Cooper was great as well. And I think, I said to you at the whole review that there was a lot riding on today's game. I think it was really, really important that we won today. So, when you say, what do we learn from playing Cooper over and getting Cresswell in, I understand what you're saying, but at the same time, we're not in the position where we can kind of play a knowledge game. We need to win this game, really. We needed that first win at home. So, especially with Ayling coming out, because regardless of his ability on the pitch, his leadership and stuff, I do, see that he has got some attributes in that, and bringing Cooper in, I'm okay with that. I ain't got a problem with it. And like I said, I thought he played all right. A couple of times where he could have released it to Byram a bit earlier and didn't. But overall, I thought it was good. He was good in the air, which is what you're always going to get with Coops. No problem at all for me.
Yeah, I thought, there was that moment early on. Apart from that, I thought it was faultless. I really did. So many positives today. Dan James, when he was on the team sheet, I thought, that's interesting. And we were texting kind of back and forth through the game, and he just creates things, and things happen when he's on the pitch.
Scares people to death, mate. He scares them to death. Like if you were a defender, I know Sunday League's very different standard, but if you were playing against somebody that had the attributes that he has, but then he's limited in terms of final ball or the end product, whatever, you'd still dread playing against him. And that's what Dan James brings. He just scares him to death. And sure, a couple of the passes could have done a little bit better with a couple of the crosses and whatnot. But the best chance of the first half was from his delivery, where he cut in on his left foot and crossed it to Jorginho, and Rutter should have probably done better. The cross to Perrault is perfect. It's inch perfect. And then he gets a second assist from the corner, Browney. Like 2 assists for Dan James.
How many assists has he got this season? Now he's racking them up.
5 or 6 already. Yeah,
he's such a different player to what we've got in those attacking positions. We've got nippy, clever, dribbling type wingers, Paveda, Somerville, Rutter is a dribbler, Nonto, whereas Dan James is like this kind of direct. And, technically, I don't think he's on their level. And I think, sometimes you wince when you see the decision making and,
it works his nuts off though, Brown.
Yeah, and his cross for Pirro was just absolutely perfect. And I've got to say, I mean, I thought, I don't know if Dan James starts for me, but things happen. Things happen when he's on the pitch, and like you say, he works so hard. And when you've got those options, it's okay because we can always mix it up, later on in the game if it's not working.
At this level, he can cause absolute nightmares. The thing is with Dan James, he's actually got a lot of ability when he's running with the ball. It's when he's then faced with opposition. So if he can't knock it past and run into the space behind, that's when he struggles. His decision making, he trips over the ball and stuff like it. He fumbles possession. But when he's actually running into space with the ball, if you watch him, he's got ability, and he's crossing. Like since pre-season, if you remember back, we were saying, you know what? Actually, it looks like he's able to put in a few deliveries. You got to remember when you cross balls, unless you're David Beckham, Ian Hart, somebody of that kind of talent. When you cross a ball into the box, quite often it's going to come back out. Like it's a percentages game, isn't it? So I thought it was excellent. I think if you're just bashing James after today, I think again, it's just an agenda thing at that.
It's got to,
stage,
absolutely. I kind of want to start with the defense and kind of go through it stage by stage because so many players did so fantastically well. I thought Struijk and Meslier, two players that we've mentioned before, had really difficult 18 months, 2 years at the club. And for me, I'm really hopeful that they're getting back to that level that they were at a couple of years ago, 3 years ago, where we all thought these are such promising players. I thought Meslier was superb today. I really did.
I did.
I felt like his distribution, his composure on the ball, decision making. There were a point where he came out and caught the ball, the save at the end.
Concentration, even when we were dominating.
Absolutely. Yes, that's you've hit the nail on the head. Concentration. I just thought, and it's so good to see because it's soured, that relationship between the club and Meslier had soured, and a lot of fans frustrated with him and everything like that. I think it's fantastic that it's turned around. Maybe a change of goalkeeping coach. What we've had, different ideas.
Number two.
Different
number two.
Absolutely. Well. Farke's come in and changed it around. And Struijk as well. I mean, Struijk, for me, aggressive decision-making as well when the ball's coming to him and he's got to knock the ball into space and release it early. And just little things like that where you're going, you look back.
I thought his distribution were good today.
Yeah.
Struijk. I thought it was class. Yeah. I thought it was absolutely class. Nothing more to say. No bones to pick out of it. And I agree with you. I thought Meslier was excellent. And that save that he made was the kind of save that he would have made 2 years ago, but wouldn't have made in the last 2 seasons of the Premier League. It's just not, top save because that, it was point blank, sure, but it was hit with power from close range, and it were already kind of on the way down. I thought it was a top save. Yeah. I mean, before I get into waxing lyrical about that man again, Sam Byram. Sam Byram today could have been a candidate for man of the match as well. I thought it was absolutely fantastic. I thought it was excellent. Some of the play, like little touches around the corner, his intelligence, his positioning, never looked out of place in terms of playing left back as well. No. He gets to the byline and he can't really cross with his left foot, but it's just not even a problem because most of the time it isn't him that's getting there. He's infield anyway. He was fantastic, mate. Second half, he cut down the left-hand side and he skinned a couple of them down the left-hand side. Looked like the Byron that came through and were playing right mid, for us all them years ago. It was just fantastic. And then that header, I mean, he's good in the air as well. 6 foot. He has got decent height, but he's not like towering or anything, is he? But he leaps really well. I thought it was excellent, mate. I thought it was absolutely excellent.
I think he's been so good since he came in. I think today I was so happy to see him get his goal. I mean, you see it so many times. The ball lands to players like that for a header and they mistime it completely. And him, he's like concentrating on it, watching it, and bang, straight in. It's just, I mean, he's someone that's surprised us all, really. He came in pre-season. We didn't know what we were going to get. He's injury prone, but I think he's just been superb, and I agree completely. Like the intensity what it is, it's the intensity he plays at in a game as well. He always seems switched on. He always seems sharp. He's dynamic as well, and you think, God, he doesn't play like a player that's had like a long injury record. Really,
It doesn't even look like he's going into tackles like that, does he?
No,
You know what I mean? I mean, no. If the story were written a little bit differently for Byram, he could be talked about as one of our best ever products. Because he's a magnificent talent, and I mean he's played 151 times for Leeds as well now. You know what I mean? Like,
isn't it?
Yeah, it's crazy, really. Crazy.
Well,
really.
he was one of that crop that we lost at that time of really talented homegrown players that came through, and it's a nice story for the season that this homegrown talent has come back to us, and he's had a difficult few years. He's not played that many games, and it's clicking for him. And today was just the icing on the cake to get that goal. He was
excellent, mate. He was excellent today. I can't even say enough, honestly. He was so good. Like, defensively, using his body in the air, like his reading of the game, his distribution, carrying the ball, his goal. Just, he was faultless. He's only not going to get man of the match because of just how good one of the other... I'm gonna say 3 because I think there's another 3 that could have got it. But he was honestly, he was absolutely sensational today.
Yeah, he was certainly.
And then, go on.
Sorry, I was just gonna say, guys, if you could like the video, get your comments. How do you feel about today's game? Who was your man of the match? Come on, let us know. Let's move on to midfield then. Kamara, first start for the club, got through all the game. I thought he was a seamless fit into that midfield. It didn't look like someone in there who's not played much this season. There was no ring rust. It was sharp. He was up to the level. Technically you can see that he's up to the level. I thought it was really strong. What about yourself, Chris?
I agree. Like him and Gray are very clearly put in the team to keep the ball ticking. Yeah, it's really important. Retention of possession. You find that little half space to make that second and third pass to get the fullbacks into play or the wingers into play. Really comfortable in possession and under pressure. Like, he's effective while teams are pressing him, which is really good. I thought he was hard in the tackle. I thought he got stuck in. I think that 6 role in this Varka side is always going to kind of, because it's kind of a double 6, isn't it, really? I think that person, so Gray and Kamara, are always going to kind of, if you're not concentrating on it, you'll miss it. You won't see how effective and how necessary it is in the team and the tactic. I thought it was great, and like you say, it didn't look like it was his first start for Leeds, and he nearly got 9 minutes. I think he looked a little bit leggy with about 10-15 minutes to go. And which is expected from what we've heard. He didn't really have a pre-season. Rangers weren't playing him, and while his future were decided and whatnot. So Kamara, top.
What a piece of business! I mean, how much?
£5 million.
I mean, it's just, and when you look at him, he's just smooth and he's just clever, and he's got the
fancy getting proper recruitment, Browney. Yeah, proper recruitment. You don't have to spend £20 million on a centre midfielder. Imagine that. I mean. I'm not going to gas it and go over the top, right? But even if it'd have cost 8 or 10 million quid under Bielsa, like he would have still improved that situation that we had. But anyway, let's not go back to the But you know my point, like
absolutely. Situation. No. I completely agree. Some comments to get through. Diggler, it's great to hear this positivity, loving it. Yeah, and you know what? It's nice to come on and really be enthusiastic. And to be fair, this season it's been building to this, and we've had really good performances, bar the Birmingham game, really. But today was just sensational. Let's see us score those goals. Bourne Leeds, great show as always, lads. Much appreciated. Thank you, Bourne. And Diggler, 4 clean sheets in a row. Who'd have thunk it? Well, I mean, before we get on to Kamara's midfield partner, just a quick word on the defensive record now, which is swinging back from an absolutely horrendous 2 years. And you could see how much they wanted to keep that clean sheet at the end, couldn't you?
Did you see Ampadu? Did you see what he said to Cooper?
No.
So when it was 2-0, and I mean, this again, he's just been a Burnley. I love the guy. Honestly, he could have my kids. Like, I love him that much. He turned to Coops and he went, clean sheet. And this was about 6-7 minutes to go. at 2-0, and he was screaming at Cooper. If you go back and see it, he was proper giving it him. And I thought that is just brilliant, because and again, I said this last week, the technical ability of this team, I think, stands above the rest of the division. But what really stands it apart from our team last season is the personality. It's got a real desire and determination to do well, and they're not cracking under the pressure. There were a time today when it was 0-0 back end at first half, and it had been very easy for them to get impatient and start playing a different way, and they didn't. They stuck true to what they're trying to do, and that's character. That is proper character. Love it. I love it. So defensive record, amazing. I tell you what, though, it puts a bit of a challenge in place for who starts at centre back next weekend.
It does. I think Rodon, because he's so strong, I would still slot him back in. But I hope that doesn't mean that we have to, get Shackleton out and Ayling comes back in. I hope it doesn't come down to that.
Well, it'll be Rodon and one other, won't it? But who's the other?
Oh,
You know what I mean?
I don't think you can drop Strike though now.
No, I don't think so either.
I just don't think you can drop it. Martin, this is my father-in-law, actually. What a game he was there.
Martin?
I hope you enjoyed that one. Good stuff. Got Steve, beautiful game. Rutter and Pirro is so awesome. I know, it's just incredible. Let's get on to it then. Let's move to a forward line because there's just so much positivity. Let's start with the man who put on a show today that, I can't remember seeing a player dazzle the crowd like that since maybe Pablo. It was just Jorginho Rutter. Talk to me about him. It was just incredible, wasn't it?
It's just wild, isn't it? The only thing the lad's performance was missing today was a goal. And even the one that was offside, it was miles offside. It's still a great finish. It could have done better with the chance that James put on for him. But apart from that, from the second half especially, there were a couple of moments in the first half, but the second half especially, he was taking the piss. He was absolutely taking the piss. And it was like he was playing in a kid's playground and he was just taking the mick out of them. He was bullying defenders, pinning them. And then when he got on one-on-one, he was just walking around them like they weren't there. His body movement and his feints, his skill. There were a chop turn that he did in the first half, just before he got that injury.
Is that the pirouette? The little Zidane pirouette?
He did the Zidane pirouette, and then he knocked it through his legs as well. That's when he got taken out. And then he did a similar one in the second half. There was one that got cut off by the footage. Before Anthony got in, I think it was. And Somerville got in.
You heard Brynlaw. Brynlaw was going, amazing from Rutter. I'm like,
we can't see it. We can't see it.
God, show us the bloody thing. I want to see that. Did it even show us on replay?
No, it didn't. I've got to say, but honestly, and towards the end, he just thought he could take on the world, didn't he?
Yeah.
And my cousin's text me. He sits in the south stand, and he put, should have seen Rutter at the end. Whole South Stand shouting his name. Was like a kid at Christmas, and he loves it, doesn't he? You can tell that he's just enjoying it. His weight of pass for the Anthony and the skill in the build up to the Anthony goal, but then the weight of pass, and we've said this about Rutter before, his weight of pass and his decision making when he's got to put that assist on is perfect.
Excellent.
It's really, really good. More and more every week we're starting to see what the 35 million quid was spent on. And we're seeing it at a lower level, but this can translate. I can totally and utterly understand why we identified him as a talent. It's just the wrong timing. But now we're seeing the fruits of it. And I like it. I just love the lad. I just love him. He's just such a nice lad.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, there's been a few social videos put out by the club recently, and he comes across as like you say, such a nice lad. And he's working so hard, clearly, and whatever Farker has put into his head this season, it's working. He came into a horrible situation, last season, very difficult situation to walk into, but he's becoming a bit of a talisman, really. It's just so much goes through him, and he's so talented. And when he puts it all together and it clicks like today, it's just, it's absolutely incredible.
When he turns around halfway, I just think, you guys are in trouble. The second he gets it on the half turn and he springs into that space behind.
Phenomenal.
teams are just like, they can't catch him.
No.
I said this to you the other week. He seems to carry the ball quicker than what he can without the ball.
Yeah.
He runs quicker when he's in possession, which is really unusual. But he's just, he's a freak. Because he's so tall, he's so strong as well. I just wish he had that predatory number 9 kind of finish. But he's not a striker. He's not a 9.
No.
So...
No, and if he keeps on laying on assists like he did today, then fair play.
He'll score bags, mate. He'll score bags of goals.
Colin Fetzer comment, Daniel is slowly turning us into title challengers. Yeah, well, we hope so, don't we? We hope.
I don't even think it's slow. Can I just say that? Like, we're 7 games into this season, and we're playing like that against a team that are going to be in a respectable position this season. We absolutely played them off the park. And if not for a bit of a impotent night the other night, and I think it was not the first. Like we probably should be sat on 6 wins, 1 loss.
Yeah,
if we're being taught,
Yeah,
absolutely.
If we're being real. No, I agree. Steve, we could have been 5 up. We certainly could. Diggler, I keep saying this, but I love this team. Can't wait to see the highlights. Yeah, that is what's happening this season as well. And, it's been such a brutal couple of seasons and obviously culminated in getting relegated. It's great to see that everything's coming back together. And for me, you can't look further than Daniel Farke, who was really instigated all this. It was the right and the best decision to make, I think, by the 49ers. And, so far, the recruitment team, the 49ers, Farke, everything just, it is clicking. And you get a performance like that today. I mean, we've not seen a performance like that for a long, long time.
Years.
A long, long time. We really haven't.
That takes me back to when we smacked West Brom 4-0 at home.
Yeah.
That level of performance, that level of dominance. Sensational, mate. I mean, we kind of skirted over Ampadu and maybe come back to him at the end. But Somerville, I thought Somerville was excellent. I thought he played really well today. He kind of carried on from coming on off the bench. Was that last game against Hull?
Because he were a bit off it, wasn't he? In the
bit off it against Millwall.
Against Millwall, it was a really good team for us because I was starting to get a little bit concerned about. We seem to have players that are playing well one match, they go off the boil the next match, then other players go on the boil and off. It's kind of like this swapping thing. But
I thought it was
excellent today, Somerville. I mean, I'm a fan of Somerville. I think his dribbling ability, the way he can beat a man at the last second, and that I love these stab finish as well. I know it wasn't positioned just into the corner, otherwise it would have been a goal. But just the sharpness, it's like what he did at Anfield last season. Do you remember the way he finished that? Took it early and did it. I think it. It could have been a wake up call for him being dropped.
Absolutely. And I said that to you. I said that to you. Daniel Farke managed that situation perfectly. Daniel James came off the bench and got 2 assists. You lose your place. That's how it should be. I thought Somerville was excellent, and then Pirro, you combine it all together with him as well. And I thought he linked play really, really well today. He was smart in them gaps, in them spaces, and exactly why we wanted him and exactly why we needed him. It was where a number 9 should be when that cross comes in from Dan James. And again, you never think he's going to miss that. And I know it's a tap in, and he's made it a tap in. But some strikers, and I won't name one of them, would there be a potential that they'd miss that?
Yeah.
Pirro's never going to miss that. No, never, ever going to miss that on left foot, right foot, in the air. However, it's going in the back of the net. So, absolutely. Buzzing for him.
Is that 4 for the season now for Pirro?
4 and 5 for Pirro.
Isn't it? I mean, it's kind of matching up to his figures that he's done in his career, isn't it? And
he'll easily get 20.
Oh, yeah. I mean, to just pop up like that, because I was enjoying the performance, but when it was 0-0, that frustration is just beneath the surface because you're thinking we can't draw this game when we're so dominant. And, the thing with Pirro as well, I know he got not criticism the other night, but it was a case of what's he contributing in those type of games. And the commentators alluded it to, a couple of times, he's off the ball work and where he's running into space, there's a lot he's doing, and that's why he gets himself into those right positions,
I mean, I don't know about you, but during the League One days, I watched him in Beckford for years, and Beckford had a pace that Pirro doesn't. But what Beckford used to do really was put the ball in the back of the net and not a lot of much else really. and you had to play him every single week. And I think Perrault's exactly the same, because as you know, sometimes a player like that can be quiet for 80 minutes, but when the ball drops to one of us players and we need a goal, he'll put it in the back of the net. And that's how I feel about watching him. It's so nice having it there. So nice having it there. I can't. It's the thing I've missed the most. I know. I can't believe it. and I cannot. And I'm going to say every week that we do this show, no matter the result, what Ethan Ampadu is doing in the Championship is just ridiculous, man. It's ridiculous. The guy is head and shoulders above any other midfielder in this division, maybe with the exception of Dewsbury Hall. He's the only midfielder I would even put in the bracket, and I still think Ampadu's beyond him. He is a Premier League midfielder. His tackling ability,
unreal.
It's better than Calvin's. It's better than Calvin's. Like, I definitely think Calvin's got better distribution, but in terms of Ampadu in that tackle, he just never loses the battle.
No,
it's fantastic.
The amount of times he nicks the ball in the tackle, and also he's got that bit between his teeth where he'll get stuck in as well. He will go into a strong challenge. You know, the way he controls the tempo of a game, left foot, right foot, the kind of intelligence of his play as well, positioning, the way he mops up. I mean, he's he nearly had a goal as well. He had a really good strike on goal as well, didn't he, today? You know, he nearly got himself
22 years old. And
it's crazy.
45 appearances for Wales already. I mean, the lad will, if he don't get injured, he'll play 150 times for Wales. And honestly, and he's got dog. He's got the dog in him.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, he's just an hard man. Like, he battles, he fights. There were a moment the other night where Melier were getting a bit of stick from one at lads.
He went in, did it?
Straight in, and I love that.
Yeah.
I can't say enough about him. Like, there literally needs to be a man of the match. It's Ampadu, and then another vote, because Ampadu just gets them all. Like, he's so.
I mean, he's been what 8, 9, 10s out of 10 every week, isn't it? I mean, it's just crazy. It's just every single week the consistency level. Yeah. I mean, the biggest compliment I can pay him was before the season. I was praying and hoping we'd keep Tyler Adams. I was really like,
better than Tyler.
Hope we keep Tyler Adams, but Tyler who? After you watch an Ampadu every week,
Tyler Adams.
He is.
I wouldn't swap him back.
I would not swap him back in a million years.
Not even for a fully fit Tyler Adams. And that's not me being bitter twisted. It's me being objective and being right. He's quicker than Adams. He's better in the tackle than Adams. He's passive. He's decision making. He's long distance passing. He's better at everything than Tyler Adams. There isn't anything that I'd rather have Tyler Adams over. There literally is nothing. He's so much better. So, man, I honestly cannot.
You're going to need a different segment on the show out with like Ampadu. Just Ampadu segment.
It's just so good.
He's just, I mean, how much was it? 7 million, was it?
7 million quid.
7 million for a player like that. I mean, it's just ridiculous. Chathouse, hi, watch the game. Leeds were terrific and are evolving into a quality side to be feared. Rutter is outstanding and worth every penny we paid. Now seems like a bargain. Agree with your comments? Yeah, absolutely. I mean, can't praise Rutter enough today. I can't wait till somebody cuts up his highlights from today's game.
I've been trying to see if I can find them for us.
Yeah, that'll be on repeat in my house, that will.
Who would you give man of the match to?
Oh,
genuinely, if you had to decide on the man of the match. I mean, Jadon Anthony came on and we're taking piss as well, by the way.
Yeah.
He absolutely ran through.
I was going to come to
him, came on and scored. Sorry, I probably jumped ahead.
No.
Who would you give man of the match to?
Who would I get? So I want to split it in two between Ampadu and Rutter, because I feel like one mastered the tempo and, you know, did his usual stuff, and then the other was the glitz and was the star quality. I think just purely because it was just such an off the chart. I've got to say Rutter, because it's just too sexy as that performance today.
I get it.
It's just ridiculous. I can't. It's too good. Pirouetting and through balls and beating men for fun. It's just too fun. It's too good of a performance. I've got to give it to Rutter.
No, I think it's fair. And that's while Dan James got 2 assists and Somerville played the way that he did as well. Because I think Somerville's a shout for it today as well. Like Somerville, everything good that we did for the first 55 minutes started with him. And like I said earlier, I think Byram's a shout for it too. I thought it was absolutely excellent. I just have to give it to Ampadu, because I think everything everything is allowed to be what it is because of him. He takes so much pressure off the team in the way that he wins the ball, his reading of the game, the plays start with him, his decision making. Yeah,
the attitude.
Just
you know, it's like there. You know, he's not gonna lose the tackle. He's not gonna lose that game. He's just so on it. It's just
there's no wrong answer though. No,
there's not. No, there's not. Jayden Anthony then he came on, and I mean before he scored, he incredible way that he beat two men, and unfortunately didn't get his shot quite right. But you know, when you're able to bring someone on like that who just slots in seamlessly, and he's going to bring his own thing, isn't he? He's going to bring something else. You know, he's a couple of years older than the likes of Somerville and Nonto, and you know, I'm excited to see what he's going to do in his minutes. You know, I presume he's going to get a start eventually, but it becomes a bit of a minefield for who you drop, really.
I mean, again, this. You know, we're talking about recruitments and replacements, Ampadu, Tyler Adams and all that. We can say the same about Jayden Anthony and Sinacera. We know how good Sinacera is, but given the fact that Sinacera might only see half the season, it's such a great piece of recruitment. And, you know, he's every bit as good as Somerville, James, Nonto. He easily complements all the options that we've got up there. And how do you pick? And this is why the club was so... they used the line aggressive, didn't they? But they wanted to keep that quality. Somerville, you know, we know that had big offers. Nonto, we know did. You know, these players, they're a cut above this league, whether that be Premier League or a Bundesliga move or a Liga move or Serie A, wherever. Like, especially the attackers, them players in them roles. And I include Rutter in that as well, because Rutter apparently had £25 million offer from Lyon. Keeping hold of them and keeping them happy as well, because the two separate things. It's a huge testament to what the club are trying to do. So and you know, the more and more it becomes slick, the more and more we'll just take teams apart, because once that pressure is kind of relieved, saw it today. Once the first goal went in, that was it. The game was done. As much as from a fan's point of view, it don't feel like it until it's two. The game was done because the players are like, right, we're in charge of this now. This is us. We're here, and the goals will flow. So, you know, when they don't desperately need to go 1-0 up because they're still chasing that first home win of the season, they'll score after 10, 15 minutes and we'll start taking these teams apart. You know,
it's all looking in an upward projection, isn't it? So after that today, where we're looking, I think we're in 5th now. You know, we're climbing that table now.
There is a gap, unfortunately.
There is. Yeah, there's, I mean, 8-point gap to Ipswich and Leicester. Preston drawing a blank today, but you know, it's turning, isn't it? We're slowly clawing it back. Have you seen much of Leicester? I mean, how do you think Leicester compare to where Leeds are at this moment after a performance like that today? Because they're the ones I'm looking at. Leicester going, they're the they're a superb team. Really.
They were very good against Norwich last week. I will say that they got themselves in front. You know, defended really well, hit them on the counter to kill the game off. That was midweek. But I've said this and again, this isn't revisionist. I think we've got a better 11 than them. I think they've got a better squad than us. But not by much now. Not when you start to look at the depth that we have got. As long as we don't suffer too many injuries, I think we can be competitive. I think we play better football than them. From what I've seen, I've probably watched 90 minutes of Leicester. They always tend to be in control of games, but there's not much. They haven't got the potential to do what we've done today and cut teams apart, or what we did against Ipswich, or what we did against Millwall. They've not shown that they've got that in the locker really yet. So yeah.
Sorry to interrupt, but how many like amazing goals are we racking up this season as well? The passing and moving and build up. I mean, it's beautiful, isn't it? It's on fire. You know, it's just great, isn't it? Yeah. Actually, can we just stay in the Championship if it's like this? You know what I mean? God, I don't want to think about what that Premier League would be like.
Let's just enjoy this.
Yeah, let's just enjoy this going forward. I tell you one thing I do hope, looking at a club wider context, and I know there's rumours about it, but Nick Hammond potentially staying on. The 49ers really like what he's done recruitment-wise, and how he's brought it together in a really ridiculously short space of time that they assembled this squad under huge pressure, under a crazy situation where you're losing players left, right and centre. You didn't know who was going to stay, and they put together a squad that that is going to be on fire. I really hope Hammond stays. I would love to see that as a long-term appointment. I think if he's doing this kind of recruitment at this level, who knows what the future could hold there.
I mean, mate, if I were the 49ers, would be that Futurama gif. Just take my money.
Yeah, stick a zero on the end of whatever.
The guy, again, and he did it under the backdrop of a lot of noise from fans. What's happening? Why are we not doing this? We're not ready. And I, we're even getting a bit worried as one of the positive ones. I can totally and utterly understand it, but they worked, in the right way. They had a strategy. They stuck to it. They waited until a bit later in the window. They got the players that they wanted. And, we said it last week, there isn't really, so far, a bad-looking recruitment. We haven't seen enough of probably Gruev to really, critique his performances as of yet, but he's a Bulgarian international playing in the Bundesliga. Like, he can't be that far off the rest of what we've done. Rodon, Byram, Ampadu, Anthony, Pirro. What's not to love, mate? What's not to love about it all? And then combine that with some of the players that we already had here that did want to stay, and some of the players that were coming through, the likes of Archie Gray, who absolutely needed to come out of the squad today. Not from an horrible, not even negative performance point of view. 17-year-old lad who's played every single minute of every single game, near enough. So just absolutely Nick Hammond to stay.
Yeah. Well, I also like with Gruev as well that there's this guy kind of waiting in the wings who, we don't know a tremendous amount, but like you say, has got pedigree, who's just there to kind of, come in. It's not the situation where we've had in the past where it's like there is nothing apart from, an 18-year-old from the under-21s or something. We've got that depth there, so if something, touch wood, hopefully it doesn't to Ampadu or Gray or whoever, you've got somebody there that can come in that hopefully is of the level. And we've just not had that. We've just not had that at all.
We haven't had it for years. We never had it under Bielsa, mate. Never had it under Bielsa.
No, absolutely not. And it needs to happen. Farker says Nonto will require surgery.
I've heard that he might be out for 3 months.
God, and it looked like innocuous, didn't it, at the time as well? It just
looked like he got his ankle stuck underneath the body weight, didn't it? It's the funny ones are ankles.
No, exactly. So just waiting for some other comments from Farker there, but I'm sure he's going to be delighted, absolutely delighted with that. He must be rubbing his hands together, Farker, at where this is heading now. And, he's done the work, but I think he must have been so excited by the project though to even have agreed to this in the first place. And I think things, dare I say it, are coming together really nicely at the moment.
It's just beautiful, mate. I mean, today's performance, I think, is something that we've deserved. We saw a version of it at Millwall, but Millwall away is a little bit different to doing it at Ellen Road, and the space and availability that kind of turns up. But in terms of this injury to Nonto, it's a shame. But as you've just kind of alluded to, we've got the squad to deal with it. We still had options off the bench today. Michael Joseph didn't see the pitch; he can play out wide. Jaden Anthony's not even started a game yet. Somerville, Dan James, Rutter can play out there if we decided to do something different centrally. Maybe Pirro goes a bit forward. We play Paveda in behind with Gellart. They're not as
Gellart.
Good. Yeah,
I forgot Gellart then.
They're not as good as Nonto as having that option. But I would say Somerville, Anthony are definitely as good. I'd say Rutter's as good. So, however we combine it, I'm not worried as long as we don't get loads. And we've got Mr. Bamford to come back. And by the way, right, and I am not just saying this, with the weight of expectation off of Bamford's shoulders, he's got a part to play in this squad. I'm telling you, if he can get back to full fitness, he's never going to be the player that he was 3 years ago because that has gone, unfortunately. But if he can get back to full fitness and give us the version of it now off the bench, he'll be a big asset to us because he'll be coming on when, the game's tight, other players are tired, either we might even be in front and the pressure might not be on him. I think he's got a big part to play this year.
I agree. And a special mention as well, Stuart Dallas back in training as well. Love the photos of him back in training. And, who knows? I mean, good old Stuart Dallas, if I back anyone to be able to come back and actually make an impact, it'd definitely be him, to be fair.
Did you see the interview with Rob Price on Leeds Official Podcast? So he was asking him about it and he said, apparently the injury is always between 12 and 24 months. And Stewie came like back onto the grass at 16 months. So he's still well ahead of schedule. The likelihood of seeing him in first team action this year is unlikely.
Right.
So apparently the femur, I didn't know this, but at the ends of the femurs there's like 2 balls. So that kind of connect to the knee. And apparently he broke it off. So this ball on the end of the femur broke off from his leg. And I mean, we've all heard it, but it's the only time you see the injury is in the car crash. That's how bad the injury is. You know, any injury that takes a footballer out for 2 years is pretty wild, isn't it? So he's got a long way to come back, but it's fantastic to see. I don't think we'll ever see that version of Stuart Dallas ever again, unfortunately. I don't know what kind of career he'll go on now to have for the rest of it, but we forget that we've missed him. You know what I mean? Throughout all of the relegation, disappointment and stuff, because he was a massive, massive part of Bielsa's team, wasn't he? So
he was. Yeah, he was always that one probably out of that crop who had the most talent as well.
Actually. Yeah, he did. He did.
He was definitely on that level. Some comments coming in from Farker then. Farker thinks it was Leeds' most complete performance so far. To dominate such a good side totally is pretty pleasing. Impressed with Rutter's performance. He deserves all the praise today and he can definitely go on like this. He says we can be happy with him today. His work ethic is outstanding. Great at linking the play. Always important that he doesn't enjoy himself too much. He has to focus on pragmatic football. I criticised him a little at half time. So apparently Farker's spoken to Rutter about making sure when he plays, he doesn't try to embarrass or disrespect opposition players. Can show his magic, but needs to keep it under control. But very happy with his display. For me, that's good management again. Farker,
yeah, it's great management, and it's pragmatic. It's right. No, absolutely.
You know, as much as he can play like a kid in a schoolyard, he's a professional game, and you got to you got to get that win.
Yeah, you've got to respect your opponents as well, because opponent doesn't wipe you out. And that'll be the end of your season. You know what I mean?
Championship bruisers. God, yeah absolutely.
Just let me share this a minute. I know I always do this. I'm sorry, but this is just funny. Let me move it to my other screen. The tag is the bromance, and it's Nonto and Somerville on the pitch at full time. Hold on.
Oh, with Nonto there.
Yeah, he's wearing a boot.
They love it them too, don't they?
It's a good mates out there, apparently. It's not nice to see, but it's clear he's got a bit of injury. I mean, it don't seem to be that he needs. He can't wait there though, does it? So
no, God, yeah, he's like having a little. He's like wiggling Somerville about, isn't he? Like, you know what's going on there? Blimey!
Look at this before I skip off.
Oh yes, come on, let's have a look at this.
This is the Anthony goal.
That's the turn. That's the Rutter turn there that he does, and they can't stop it. Look at that.
It's just taking the piss.
Look at this.
And then the way to pass, perfect. Yeah.
And then Jadon Anthony with the finish, goal calm finish, fantastic, fantastic. I've forgotten about Sinistera, to be honest. I'm like,
Sinner who? Sinner who?
Exactly. A few comments to get through. Just going back to when we're on about Leicester Chronicles. Leicester have more goal scorers like Vardy, but we may have more ability, or we do have more ability. Yeah, probably a good way of summing it up, to be fair. Steve Bamford must be worried. I don't know. I think I tend to agree with Jason now. I think if he understands that he's not the main man, but he's a supporting player in this, and just get on board with that, really, I hope that's how it plays out.
It's not like Bamford as well as being like playing week in, week out. We've then signed a striker that's then come in and replaced him. The fact is Bamford's now been out pretty much solid for 2 years. So Bamford's not stupid. He's going to understand that the team have needed to move on and get players in and around him. So if he comes back in and plays a part, he isn't going to go anywhere. Maybe Bamford could attract America, I don't know, but he ain't going to go anywhere over here and get 35 grand a week, which is what he's on now. I think he's got another 2 years, Bamford. So I just see him playing a part. And I think, like we forget, but technically Bamford's a very, very good player. Again, Bamford's problem is directly in front of goal, which is his most important part of his job. That, COVID season aside, we've always seen that he struggles with that composure, but his link-up play and everything up until that point is really good. His movement's really good. He used to have a good turn of pace as well.
Yeah, I did.
So, yeah, no, I have no problem with him coming on, off the bench for 15, 20, 25 minutes.
Absolutely. Give us something different. Diggler, Bielsa's style made Leeds everyone's second favourite team, and maybe it could happen again under Farke. Oh, I don't know. I don't know if people want Leeds as a second favourite team again, but we'll wait and see. Chathouse, Premier League next year, Farke won't take anything less. Very impressed with his work at Leeds. Probably our best recruit by the 49ers. Well, this is the thing you see. Farke, you know he wants another bite at that Premier League. It didn't happen for him at Norwich. He got, one relegation and then sacked through partway through the next relegation. He wants another bite at that cherry, I think. And I'm sure the 49ers have said, look, if we get to that Premier League, you will be backed and we will go big, which is what we all want to see. We want to see that killer instinct this time if we do go.
He deserves it.
Yeah, he does. Absolutely. Diggler, it's a real worry about Nonto along with Spence as well. Well, this is it. I mean, we've got the players to cope, certainly, I think, with the Nonto situation. I wouldn't want any more, though. Like, that's enough now. That's enough injuries now.
Yeah.
But it's nice, when Spence comes back, Nonto, I know they'll have to get up to speed, but hopefully they can have impacts later in the season. Yeah, we proved today maybe we can do well with or without Nonto, absolutely. Michael, is there a call for keeping Shackleton at right back? Yeah, we chatted a little bit about this at the start. For me, I would pick Shackleton over Ayling going forward now. As long as Byram's fit enough for the left, I would keep Shackleton at right back.
I agree.
We thought that, didn't we, Jason?
I think you're going to see a different opposition or proposition against him next week, because when we play Southampton and they're coming off 4 straight losses, which will be interesting to see how they react. But at their place, they've got Callum Dean Sulemana at left wing. He tends to play there, and he's very quick. They've got Edozie. They've got some good players who are going to put Shackleton under more pressure than what he faced today, because their threat really came centrally today, and they didn't really have much out wide. So be interesting to see.
Yeah. CB, not sure why people are worried about Nonto being out. He wasn't missed today, was he? No, he absolutely wasn't.
I think just on that, I think people are right to be worried about any of his best players being out, because, again, it only takes one more injury for the squad to then look a little bit depleted. And why would you not want the options? As many of them good players as we can have available to Farke on a weekly basis, then great.
Yeah, exactly. Should Rodon come straight back in over Cooper next week? For me, I would. As long as it doesn't mean that Ayling gets straight back in for that kind of leadership aspect. I think
I'd agree.
Give Ampadu the leadership, the captaincy. Michael Brown still worried about Ipswich and Leicester as they keep winning. Preston drop points against Rotherham. I had Ipswich pitched for a good season this year.
I did too.
Leicester have lost to Hull though. They've shown that they're not infallible at home. Ipswich, the only team they've lost to this season is us. 6 wins otherwise.
Mad. Frustrating, isn't it? Because we should have really had so many more wins on the board, especially against Hull this week. CB, Leicester will have a dip in form. They won't be winning every game. Yeah, do you know, I wouldn't be surprised if we see that. If we do see a drop off from Leicester, I'd be kind of not skeptical about a fast start, but sometimes that's what can happen. So I'm hoping that happens. I'm hoping we're just nicely peaking. Mr. Dodo, thanks for your comment. Shax is one of those players who never really has a 10 out of 10 game, but he's just solid everywhere. He's more important to our squad than I think people know. You know what I think with Shackleton? I think he's perfect for this season as a utility man. If we got promoted, I know it's jumping ahead, I would be tempted to not give him a new deal. As harsh as that is, I don't think Shackleton is anywhere near a Premier League team. And I think that's where you got to take the sentiment out. You got to go, you're not at Premier League level. Now, unless he can develop to that level, I don't know. But that's where I think we've got to cut that sentimentality out. We've got, if we get back to the Premier League, we've got to have cutthroat thinking. Unfortunately, I think we've got to upgrade.
You're spot on. You're absolutely spot on. I mean, and so's the comment spot on as well, because players like Jamie Shackleton are really, really important for squads, and people do underestimate it a little bit. We underestimated it in under Bielsa. Particularly, we didn't have that quality to come on. But you're right. Like when we hopefully inevitably go up at some point, them utility players need replacement for Premier League utility players.
Yeah.
The likes of Josh Brownhill. I'm just trying to think of names off the top of my head, but them players that like what Mark Noble was to West Ham towards the back end of his career, that have got Premier League quality. Because to ask Jamie Shackleton to do what he's doing now, a version of it in the Premier League, is just not fair. He's not capable. So, not at this stage of career, he's not capable anyway.
No, absolutely. Mark, nothing wrong with not missing a player like Nonto if the player coming in is as good, if not better. And CB, if we keep playing like we did today, does Nonto come straight back in when he's fit? Possibly not. I mean, you've got to get up to speed and everything like that, especially if you've had a bad injury. Some of the other championship results today: Plymouth 6, Norwich 2. Crazy. What is going on there? Bonkers.
Back-to-back losses for Norwich too, there.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so we've leapfrogged them there. So we're looking in a very nice
Southampton.
Situation.
Southampton lost.
Southampton. Yes, I mean,
4 straight
how long
losses.
do you think he's going to last? To Middlesbrough as well.
I know, who were terrible, by the way.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, he's going to be under pressure. He's definitely now under pressure. 4 straight losses. Can you imagine if Leeds had 4 straight losses? Mate, the fans would have been going delirious. So
they're just kind of they're a lot. I don't want to say nicer, the Southampton fans, but they're kind of more tolerant, aren't they? They're probably all sat there like, oh, he'll turn it around.
Pathetic. We'll say pathetic.
Yeah, exactly. Enzio was pleased to see Shaxx and Byram at fullback. We were never really in any trouble either side. Excellent team performance from the lads. Lots of players playing well at the same time. Absolutely. Definitely. Oh, Mark throwing this in there. Will Nonto play for us again if he goes in January?
Well, not on the back of an injury. You can't imagine that somebody would want to then spend 35 million on him because that's what we're going to charge. We've made that clear. So, Ishmael said Leeds deserve to win 0-0 at half time. We were lucky. In the second half, we changed things and were more stable, but we conceded the goal and afterwards it was difficult. For 90 minutes, the opponent was much better.
Yes,
fair
enough. Fair enough. Fair assessment of it. Southampton next week, Jason. They've lost their last 4. They're playing at home against us. It's a 12:30 kickoff on the Saturday. It's going to be an interesting one, that, isn't it?
I think we could absolutely demolish them if we play to our standard. Given the way that things are going, the pressure will be on them. They'll have to come out. They're going to have to come out and try and attack us. And we know that they keep the ball for the sake of keeping the ball. And our press is actually looking better and better every week. How many times in the first half today did we win the ball like 10, 15 yards outside their box? So I think it could be an absolute pasting. It'd be so Leeds to go and then lose and break this 4-game losing streak that they're on. But if I had to put my money on it, I'd say we'll go down there and absolutely thump them.
Yeah, and do you know it's like
and really put them to the sword.
Yeah, well, you got players like Ampadu as well. He's not a player who's that level's going to drop off. I have faith, and I think if Roden comes back in, I think the same with him. Byram, these players are on it. They're really on the ball.
I think every week that goes, Rutter looks more like that too. He just looks like he's just enjoying it. Like his consistency is going up. I think Pirot will always be there to give you goals and be in that mode. I mean, I would go into it with the exact same team with Rodon coming in for Cooper. Personally, that's what I would do. I would keep Kamara in the side over Gray. I just think it's right at this moment.
Yeah.
People can't just skirt over what a player Kamara is. He's a European finalist. He's played for years with Rangers. He's in the prime of his career at 27-year-old. And that don't mean that then Archie Gray don't get game time, but there's chances for that. Rotherham at home, Sheffield Wednesday at home, Huddersfield at home, the teams that are going to be in and around the bottom half. And that's no disrespect to any of them. It's just the truth. Going to St. Mary's when you really need that experience to get you through it. And again, Archie Gray's shown that he's shown experience way beyond his years, but you use what you've got at your disposal. And I personally would go with Kamara in that role next week. Yeah. I'm excited by it. I'm excited for that game.
I saw Mike because I think if it clicks like it did today, and especially with, as you mentioned, the fact that Southampton are going to have to come and push forward, I just think, oh God, I'd absolutely love it if we tonk them. To be fair, I really would.
Early kick-off on telly.
Yeah, early kickoff on telly. Michael Brown still says Sinister is a better all-round player than Anthony and is the only player on loan I want back as he has that X factor in the locker. Enzio thought Kamara was much more defensive than I thought, but they had a look in with him and Amps in the middle. Mr. Dodo, we beat Southampton last year when Gracia came in and we were a shambles. And on paper, we should put loads past them. Oh, I hope so. I really hope so. Michael, what for the first team at ER not to adopt a low block? They were defensive-minded, but not as negative as Sheffield Wednesday, West Brom or Cardiff, who all came away with a point at Ellen Road with a low block. But I feel we're in a different position. I think like Rutter this weekend, he probably bangs one away against Sheffield Wednesday, to be fair.
Dan James is on 5 championship assists. He's the top assist maker in the division.
Whose final ball is often questioned as well. There you go. It's just crazy, isn't it? So, Jason, just before we log off, then final thoughts. 3-0 win. We're in 5th. Upward trajectory. I mean, can't get better, can you?
No, it's a shame that gap is what it is, because we deserve it to be closer, I think. And I think tonight, given the back of this performance, would feel even better if we were within touching distance of them teams. But you know what? It's 1 win and 1 loss the other way, and you're back within 4 points, and it's nearly there. So I'm not worried about the gap. We're 8 games into the season. There's 120 odd points or something daft left to play for. You know what I mean? Like there's such a long way to go in this season yet, and the way that we're playing, 4 clean sheets on the spin. First home win of the season, undefeated at home as well. 1 loss this season in a circumstance where maybe we could have got over the line with another 0-0 draw. What's not to love? And the standard of some of these teams, because I would say Hull and Watford will probably be in and around 6th to 10th. This season they'll be battling for playoffs. We're making them look so ordinary. Millwall finished 7th last season, right on the edge of the playoffs as well, and we made them look so poor, and Danny Farker's done all that within 10 weeks.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Put this together. Some of these players have only been in the squad 2 or 3 weeks in Kamara and Gruev and, Jadon Anthony. So, yeah, mate, it's looking really, really positive. I'm very, very, very positive about the season.
Yes.
I think the top 2 is in sights. We're in the top 6. That's where we were aiming for pre-season, I think. So yeah,
we managed to do it. It's not even 10 games gone.
Exactly.
So, and from a difficult start. Excellent. Well, thank you very much for watching along. If you're watching this live, thank you for getting involved with your comments, and please do like the video if you're watching again on replay. It'll also be available on Spotify as well. So if you've been listening on there, thank you very much as well. We'll be back at some point during the week for an EFL review, no doubt, and then myself and Jason hopefully will be back next Saturday. Hopefully in the same buoyant mood as well.
Hopefully. Everybody can enjoy the highlight reels this week, can't they, of Jorginho. Oh, bliss.
You sure you don't want to change that man of the match?
No, he's the boy, man. Honestly, if he asked for my firstborn, I'd give him it. He's just a god.
There we go. Well, guys, thank you very much for joining us. I've been sitting around with me, being Jason Booker. Jason, thank you very much, mate.
Thank you.
And we'll be back again very soon. Thanks for watching.